Hi, Vince here for multiversitycomics.com. I'm here with Greg Pak. We're going to talk about a bunch of his projects, a couple announcements that he had. But let's start off with Eternal Warrior. So I read the first issues of that, the first two that have come out so far, and really great stuff. It really adds to the Valiant line. I think Valiant has had a really strong, nice and slow launch. What is it about Valiant's approach that makes for the really nice set of comics that we've had?
Yeah, well, Warren Simons is the mastermind over there. He was an editor that I worked with at Marvel on the Magneto Testament book, and I just loved working with him because he's really smart, really sharp, has a great sense of story, and he really sweats the details. You know what I'm saying? He really cares about it on every level. And so when I first heard that he was going to be the editor over there at Valiant and run this relaunch, I knew that they were going to be good. But the books are amazing. And I think he's done a great job also of recruiting top-notch writers and amazing art teams. You know what I mean? Like these books look, they're as good as anything out there.
Yeah,
you know what
they're
I'm
all
saying?
gorgeous.
They look fantastic, and all of the and they were also. I think he embraced the idea. All those guys at Valiant just embraced the idea of taking these great concepts, but then update. I don't know if updating is the right word, but just but tackling them with an open mind. You know what I mean? To sort of get to the core and to make something that's going to be relevant to folks who are reading them and make them exciting. And I got pulled on board to do Eternal Warrior, and I couldn't have been more thrilled. I was going to work on whatever Warren asked me to work on because I loved working with Warren, you know what I'm saying? And as a writer, I've kind of learned if you find a good editor, you try to stick with that editor, you know what I mean? Because you're going to learn from, I've been working in comics 9 years now, and I'm still learning something new every day, you know what I'm saying? And if I don't, I'm like a shark. If I don't learn, I'm going to die, you know what I mean? Sharks have to keep moving. We're like that, you know what I'm saying? So if there's an editor I think I can learn from, I'll jump on the opportunity to work with him. So I was going to work with Warren no matter what. But the Eternal Warrior was just the perfect match for me, I think. It's, I've done stuff with both Hulk and Hercules, which kind of deal with these, big heroic figures. And the idea of working with an immortal again was really attractive to me. And also the idea of kind of creating a mythology from the ground up. Because that's basically what we're doing. It was a huge attraction to me, this notion that we were going to be able to really delve into the mythological underpinnings of the Valiant universe. So it's meaty stuff, and I'm having a blast.
Yeah, really. It really ties in nicely with the rest of the Valiant stuff, particularly Archer and Armstrong. There's that familial link in there. Are you guys looking to explore that more down the road?
I think eventually that will definitely happen. We haven't nailed down exactly when, but we've been talking about it. Fred and I worked together for years on Incredible Hercules. Fred Van Lente, who writes the Archer and Armstrong book. I love working with Fred, and I think those characters are just a natural match. So eventually we're going to do something. We'll do something eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's something great about the way that you have this sort of timeless character, and yet when he gets together with Archer and Armstrong, it just kind of works. There's this kind of funky dynamic that just totally works, and I think it's both of you kind of being in sync with the characters. I think that definitely comes through. Working with the Eternal Warrior gives you a lot of room to explore different eras, potentially. Where can we expect to see the story go as far as time-wise? What eras?
Well, you will see... that was, like you say, that was one of the big attractions for the book of the book to me, is this opportunity to jump around in time, and we will see. Motion to scooch a little bit for better framing. We're going to see in every issue. There's some. So far, there's been some kind of flashback, showing some scene from the past that illuminates something in the present, and so we'll continue to do that. In issue 2, we've got like a moment from the Old West. Issue 1 and also in issue 3, we're seeing some scenes from way further back. Starting with issue 5, we're going to do the opposite and jump forward in time. We're going to jump to the year 4001 for a story arc that I think we're calling the Eternal Emperor. And it's going to be crazy. So, that's another reason why this book is so much fun to work on, because we're just doing crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, totally. Well, we love the Valiant titles, and we love the work you're doing on them. And speaking of sort of the jumping back and forth, different times, different worlds, let's talk a little bit about Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
You know, because there's been a lot of that with the whole Earth 2 thing, and I think you've been doing a great job of exploring both characters, a couple different sides of their personalities through these different worlds that you're exploring.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how that experience has been?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for that. I've been developing ideas and stories for the book and had been working with Eddie Berganza, the editor of the book, and at a certain point Eddie was like, hey, you know, we're thinking, what about Earth 2? What about having them go to Earth 2 for the first time? And I'd just come off of doing a bunch of alternate world stories with Extreme X-Men, which I loved, but as a writer, you always want to do something different, but so for an instant, I was kind of hesitant. And then I thought about it for 10 seconds, and I was like, yes, because on Earth 2, you've got an older Batman and an older Superman who are totally tight. They've got that kind of golden age or silver age buddy thing going on. They've been heroing around together forever. They're best friends, and they know what they're doing. I mean, they're totally confident in that kind of a way. The heroes in our world, the Batman and Superman in our world, are younger. They've known each other for a shorter amount of time. They're still kind of suspicious of each other on a certain level. And particularly the time frame we were looking at, they were meeting for the very first time. So these guys each thought the other guy was a villain. You know what I'm saying? And so taking those two guys and putting them in a story with the older versions of themselves would give us all kinds of stuff to play around with. You know what I mean? It just forces those characters to think about themselves and each other in a million different ways. So it was just like really fruitful in terms of emotional storytelling. I was all over it.
Yeah, that's great. And we've got your Action Comics run coming up, so you'll be taking on Superman as a solo character. Can we expect the same types of personality to shine through, emotional work? And
I'm doing that with Aaron Cooter, who is amazing. Yeah. He's the artist on that book. He just did the Parasite one-shot. Just astounding stuff. I mean, some people compare him a little bit to Frank Quitely because he's got that kind of clean line, and there's something about the art that's reminiscent of that. At the same time, he's got his own thing going on, really dynamic pages, and he's got that sense of adventure and humor, and also that sensitivity to character. You know what I mean? And we're going to get, I mean, it's Action Comics, so every issue is going to be wall-to-wall action, but we've got tons of character development we're doing. You know, it's all about the emotional story. If that emotional story doesn't work, all the action in the world isn't going to save you. You know what I mean? Like, you got to care about these characters. And I've been thinking about Superman for for a long time now, and we just talk about him all the time with Eddie and Aaron and all of the writers and artists who work on these books. It's been the Superman family of books. The writers have been talking a lot, and we have a plan. So you're going to see some great development, some really exciting things happen with this character, and there's a big emotional storyline going on. So don't you dare miss it. I will tease that in Action number 25, you will see the reemergence of a classic Superman supporting character whose initials are LL. So don't you dare miss it.
Okay, yeah, we won't. Going back a little bit with the DC stuff, we just had Villains Month. Mm-hmm. Brian and Zach and I read all of the titles for Multiversity. We did reviews. We found your lot of books to be among the best.
Thank you.
So what was your approach to Villains Month? Because we think something really shone through in your books particularly.
Well, thanks. I was, those books came together in a nice way for me because I had been talking for months with Eddie and the other editors at DC about Superman and about his various villains, and bouncing around a lot of ideas. And eventually they came to me and said, "Well, what about doing some of these Villains Month books?" And these were characters that we've been talking about during all this time. So I developed some ideas about them and so it was. There was some nice groundwork that had been set just from all those conversations. So when it came time to figure out actual stories for these Villains Month books, we had a good head start. And it was just it was a really fun process. I mean, it was nice also doing several of these books at the same time so that I could intertwine them a little bit. So the Batman Superman Villains book for Doomsday is actually a tie-in to the that and the Zod book really kind of work with each other. The Zod book is the Action Comics villains book, and there's a way in which we introduce a kind of relationship between Zod and Doomsday, which we will see more of. And then the Batman, the Dark Side book that I did totally ties into the Batman Superman storyline I was working on. So it was nice to be able to work on all these things at the same time. I mean, it made for a couple of crazy months where I was writing, like I had so many books to write, but it was just great because they could fit together in interesting ways and we could really build something. And there will be big payoffs to the stuff that we set up. So
great, yeah. And it's got to be crazy for you all the time because you're writing so many books here. I mean, do you want to talk about Code Monkey Save World?
Code Monkey Save World, it was a big Kickstarter project that Jonathan Colton and I did. Jonathan Colton is a internet superstar musician, famous for songs like Code Monkey, Skull Crusher Mountain, Re Your Brains. And Jonathan and I knew each other in college. He's done all these great songs that have kind of hook into sci-fi tropes, but they all have incredible heart. And so we're basically doing this book called Code Monkey Save World. Here's a little sticker if you're... and here's a little postcard that we've got. It will be available, the first issue is available October 16th at Comixology.com. So go check it out. Pick it up, please. It's a book based on his songs, and it's about a coding monkey, a computer programmer monkey, who teams up with a supervillain named Skull Crusher to save their respective romantic interests, who actually may not really want them to save them. So it's a couple of gormless guys trying to make their way in a cruel, hard world. But it's a fun story, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Takeshi Miyazawa is doing the art, and it's gorgeous.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Greg. Thanks for talking to us.
It's been awesome. Appreciate it.
All right, great.